Having a nice 3D visualization of a construction project can really help to convey the message to your clients and different stakeholders. BIM is a cool technology that can help us also for visualization. Generally, it's being used for many other construction and operation reasons, but today we are gonna see how we can recycle the 3D information of a BIM model to create really nice and cool visualization, going from something boring that looks like this and swap to something more exciting that looks like this or this one. So today I'm gonna show you how this is easily achievable using some free tools, and the tools that we are gonna use today are Blender. Blender is a really famous 3D model engine that is really powerful to create a really nice 3D rendering scene. And the other tool we are gonna use today is called Bonsai. Bonsai is an extension freely available for Blender that will allow you to import any BIM files in IFC 4 format. Today I'm gonna quickly show you how this can be achieved in only few minutes. Hello everyone, I'm Professor Rino and I'm a BIM enthusiast. I've been using BIM for many years of my career for my research, and I've been teaching BIM since 2016 here in New Zealand. I've developed a lot of cool stuff using this technology, and I'm really glad to tell you that Open BIM is exploding, especially thanks to tools like Bonsai that we are gonna use today. So let's go and have a look at the tools that we will need for this tutorial, and the good news is all free. So as I mentioned before, today we are gonna use Blender. You can find Blender by type blender.org and you will see this landing page, and if you go to the download section you will have the possibility to download the version that suits your operative system. The other tool we are gonna use today is called Bonsai. It's a beautiful extension available for free on Blender, and it's really powerful because it will allow you not just to visualize existing BIM documentation into Blender, but it will allow you also to create your BIM project from scratch already in Blender. I have already made a video discussing and showing all the possibility available in Blender, as well as how to create customized door, windows and other IFC elements. So there is a lot of content you can go and have a look in my playlist on building information modeling. The advantage of using Blender for our rendering is because he has a really powerful rendering infrastructure. The two main famous rendering solutions that you will find in Blender are Cycle. If you go in the documentation, you will see that Cycle will allow you to reach really realistic rendering. It's really time consuming to use Cycle, so if you need to render just a single image, it could be the way to go, especially if you have a good graphic card. The other solution that is available in Blender, in case you don't want to spend too much computational resources and time, it's called EEVEE, pretty long abbreviation. You'll see that it's a much faster engine that is available in Blender, but still it will allow you to reach realistic visualization. Not as good as Cycle, but good enough, and you're gonna catch the difference in this brief tutorial. The beauty behind all these engines is ray tracing. If we go to Wikipedia, we can see that ray tracing is one of the most important techniques that we use today for computer graphic and animations in many computer games, but also in many other fields beyond gaming and movies. So you can see that this technology is allowing us to create a really cool and photorealistic visualization. Here it's just an example of how the technology works. So you can see that there are shooting beams out of the camera that allow you to reconstruct an image based on what the ray managed to capture. It seems pretty simple to imagine, but imagine to do it millions, billions of times. The equation behind are pretty complicated. Yeah, it looks like we are in the Big Bang theories, and Sheldon might be really good in explaining this equation. I'm not gonna do it because I'm not really familiar with them. We are gonna just be user and try to figure it out how this beautiful math is gonna allow us to pass from this to this. So let's go and open our tools and have a look at them. So if you open Blender, you're gonna land in a page that looks like this. It always look a bit overwhelming if you haven't used it for the first time, and probably your page is not gonna look exactly like this one. The reason is because I've already installed Bonsai that is gonna allow us to import BIM documentation within Blender. So if you haven't installed Bonsai yet, it's relatively easy to do it. You need to go here on Edit, Preference, and you go to Get Extension, and here you can type Bonsai. You'll see in my case there is no installation button because it's already installed. To make sure that it's operating well, I'm gonna go to Add-ons and make sure that Bonsai is checked. And it is. In fact, you will see that here we have the BIM panel already available for us. Another clue to understand if Bonsai is working is to go here on Files, and you'll see that you have the possibility now to open IFC file. So whatever I'm gonna be clicking and using with my keyboards or my mouse is gonna be visualized in this area of the screen. And another suggestion that I have for you, if you decide to use Bonsai and you don't have a notepad on your keyboards, is to go here on Edit, Preference, Input, and you activate this emulated numpad here. It's gonna be really useful, especially when we want to change a visualization. For instance, if I want to have a top view, I can press 7 and now it's gonna work. 3, 1, it's gonna bring us to different visualization, or you can change this visualization by using this panel here. And by clicking the middle button of your mouse, you will have the possibility to move around. So you can see here all the elements in this scene. We are gonna remove them to start from scratch with our BIM object. I'm gonna press A to select all of them and press Delete to remove everything. So now we can go to File to open my BIM file. So this is the file that we are gonna use today. It's a simple BIM of a house. And the good news is that I've created this BIM in few seconds, just starting from a PDF floor plan. I use a really beautiful and powerful tool called Amplify. The good news about Amplify, there is always something new coming. They're always maintaining this website, and it will allow you, if you click, to switch from a PDF floor plan to a BIM equivalent of that floor using, I guess, some artificial intelligence behind the scene. If you want to know more, you can just go here in the history of my video and you will see that there are a couple of videos showing how to do conversion from PDF to BIM, so you can learn with me or you can easily make this conversion. So let's go back to Blender and see how we can do the rendering magics using this BIM file. We are back in Blender and we can go and click on the different elements of our 3D model. And you will see that you have the possibility to make them invisible. The things that you need to be aware of, if decide that you don't want to render that elements by just making it invisible in this part, is not gonna do the work. If you want, for instance, that the roof is not gonna be visualized in your rendering, you need also to select this camera here, and in that case you will be 100% sure that it's not gonna be rendered later on. So if we want to create something cool, let's try to remove all this spacing visualization. You can see that they are within a single collection. We can just uncheck these two elements and it's gonna disappear. So you can see inside the building that there are some piece of furniture. You can see a bed and there are some items in the toilet. Here you can also decide if you wanna keep the visualization of the windows or the door, and depending on your needs you can decide to make some of them not visualized in your rendering. For instance, I'm gonna remove this one and I'm gonna remove these 3 doors and select them and remove and unselect these 2 icons. Okay, we are good to go in terms of geometry. Let's see how we can do the magic using this simple BIM file. So the first things that I'm gonna do is to put a plane here because I would like to have some shadow casted on this surface. So to do it, I'm gonna just add a simple cube. To do it, you can press Shift A, go to Meshes and add a cube. You can see that the cube get added where is the cursor right here. If we want to change the dimension now, we can go right here and we can rescale this cube in the different direction that we decide. In my case, I'm gonna do 100 on the Y and 100 on the X. So it's gonna be a pretty big surface. Then I'm gonna move the cube to make sure that it doesn't overlap with my floor plan. So the other things that you can see here is that these BIM objects have already in their own materials. If we want to see the materials, we can go here and open this section. If we go to the materials section, you'll see that there is already a material called default wall style with a color that you can go and change if you decide to do so. In this case, for this cube, there is no material and I want to just add one of the existing material. I'm gonna use one of the slab style material. The next step for us to have a nice visualization is to go to the next step and go to the rendering panel. You can see everything is dark and not visible. This is because in the scene there is no light sources and we need to add it, and it's relatively easy. In our case, we are gonna just use sunlight, and to do it we need to press Shift A. Then we are gonna go to lighting and add the sun. So what I'm gonna do is to move the sun a bit up so I can have a nice possibility to change the orientation of the sun. So you can see now that depending on the orientation that I give to the sun, we are gonna have a completely different shadow. So you can play a bit around and decide what you wanna do with the sun. The other tab you can use is this one, in which you can have the possibility to change the color of the lighting of the sun. You can make it, for instance, a bit more yellowish, and you'll see that it's gonna look like sunset. So let's put it back to what it used to be, and here there is another possibility to change the angle. You can see that the effect gets visualized easily now on the scene. So you can play around with the exposure, and of course it's gonna expose the scene if we overdo, and the strength of the sun is gonna have a different impact on your scene. So you can eventually decide to have the scene that really fits your needs. The other things that we need to add to have a really nice visualization is of course a camera that is gonna be the viewpoint from where we are gonna render our image. To do it, we need to go to Shift A, and you can see here that there is a camera, and I just added, and like before, the camera get located where the cursor was based. We can use once again this tab here to change the location of the camera. Of course, it's gonna be a bit higher, and then I'm gonna move it with a visualization from the front of the house. A good way to have a sense of where you are with the camera is to select it, right click on it, and set active camera. So you're gonna have a clue of what the camera is capable to visualize. So I'm gonna go a bit in a different location to have a nice visualization of the house. So the other things that you have here in the camera panel here, you have the possibility to change the millimeter of the camera, and there is also the possibility to change some of the setting of the camera. So you can play around with this setting to figure it out what does what. So we're getting really close to the final rendering. So we have a camera, we have a light source that is casting some shadow. And to have the rendering set up in the proper way, we need to go here on the render. You can see it here that we have the possibility to choose and swap from rendering engine that I was mentioning before. Now we are in EEVEE. I don't know if they call it Eevee in the field. And the other things that you might want to activate is the ray tracing here. and you will see that the visualization is gonna get much more realistic. Once everything is sorted for you, you can start doing the rendering by going here in render, up here on the left, and render your image. And you can see that the rendering is pretty cool and ready for you for your projects. Let's have a go now with Cycle, because I already mentioned before that it's gonna make it a bit more photorealistic visualization. So if we want to do it, we need to go here and swap to Cycle. You can see here that the rendering is not even done in real time in the preview. It takes a bit of time to get a sense of how it's gonna look like. What I can do to speed up the process is to reduce the max samples. You will see that it's games between quality of the results and the speed of the results. The other things that you need to make sure that you are activating is your CPU, because it's gonna make the process much quicker. So let's leave it as it is, as a default, and go back to render and render the image. So in this case, you will see that it's gonna take quite a while to finish the rendering. So you can see that the results here. The only things that I noticed here that there were some error done here because there is an overlapping between two walls here and here, but you can see that the quality is on another level, so you can really tell the difference from the previous one. If we wanna save it, we can go just here in image and go to save this rendering. I'm gonna do and save it in my working folder. So here we can appreciate the difference between the rendering done with Cycle right here with the rendering done with Eevee. So you can see that the results, of course, with Cycle is much higher in terms of quality of the shadows and visualization. Of course, there are this noise here that you can easily remove by using a bit of Photoshop or just avoiding the overlapping of these meshes altogether. What if you want to change the resolution of your image? Of course, you can do it. You need to go to output, and you can see here you have the possibility to change the format of your image and get a much higher resolution depending on if you are going to print on a really big piece of paper and what is the use that you're going to do in your digital platform. So we have almost covered all the critical aspect of doing rendering with your BIM. Now I want to bring you to another more complex project to show you some other tricks that you can have to put some background color for the sky and integrate your 3D model in a much more beautiful scene. And as always, I really hope that you are enjoying this video and you're learning a lot of stuff with me. So I hope you don't mind to support this channel by pressing like and subscribe to this channel, because I'm gonna release many more exciting video on BIM and AI technology and many other exciting workflow that might be really useful for your future project. So support this channel. Let's go and have a look at the other project. So we are in this new scene. You are probably familiar with this BIM model. Used to be for many years the standard default model you will have found in Revit. We managed to get it exported in IFC format and imported here in Blender thanks to Bonsai. So in the 3D visualization, it's gonna look like roughly like you will see it in Revit, but we are gonna have the possibility here to play around with the lighting to have a much more cool rendering solution. I'm gonna go to the render panel here, and you can see that the magic is gonna appear. What I've done in this file is to add some soft lighting. You can see that they are yellowish, and if we go and select one of them, we can go and see the property of those lighting. We go here to lighting, you'll see that the temperature is probably 3000 Kelvin or even lower, so it's pretty soft and yellowish. And the other things we can do is to find the camera, so we can have a nice visualization from the camera viewpoint. So in this case it's going really slow because we are using Cycle. So let me try to select the camera and have a viewpoint from this camera. So you can see it's gonna take a bit of time to create at least a preliminary rendering to get a sense of what is gonna be visualized when we do the real rendering with Cycle. Of course, as I mentioned before, we have also the possibility to use the faster rendering solution, the Eevee one. In this case, I'm gonna stick with Cycle because I really like the possibility to have much more photorealistic visualization of our lighting, especially in nighting condition. You need to have a much more calculation if you want to have a rendering that looks really cool. The other things that you might notice is that the background is pretty boring. You can change it by yourself. To change the feature of the ambient lights, you need to go here on World, and you can see here that there is just a background color that can be changed. But we have also a nice alternative. You can use a spheric image that can be applied as a background of your scene. If we go in Poly Heaven, this is the right place where you can find a lot of them, and they are for free. So if you scroll down, you can see here HDRI. I'm gonna go and browse them and see what are the options available there. So you can see that there are many different visualization. Because we are in a night sky environment and we are in New Zealand, we have a beautiful view of the Milky Way. I'm gonna go to the night one and try to get a nice image of the Milky Way. I'm gonna probably use this one. It looks like a bit New Zealand to me, Rogaland Clear Night. And what we are gonna do is just to click on it, and once you open, you have the possibility to download it here in your working folder. So I'm gonna do it and try to use it now into Blender. We are back to Blender. So how can we now use this background image? We need to press here on the yellow button, then go to Environment Texture. You'll see that now everything is gonna be pink. Don't worry, it's all normal. Now we need to go here, Open, and select the files that we have just downloaded a few seconds before. I'm gonna do it for you. And there we are, it's already opening, and you can see that probably from this camera view we are not gonna appreciate the night sky, but we are gonna have a nice mountain background behind our BIM project. Of course, we can go and change the visualization of our house, and depending on the view of your project, you will have the possibility to visualize portion of the Milky Way on top of your BIM project. So to recap, today we have been learning how to use Bonsai to import your BIM files within Blender, and we have been learning how to use the two most popular rendering engine of Blender to create a really awesome rendering visualization of your BIM project that is gonna make all your stakeholders shocked. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for being with us and supporting this channel with the likes and subscribe, and see you to the next episode. Bye!